Hello again, everyone. Um, I have to say that I had a lot more respect for atheists in general before I started making these videos and receiving replies than I do now. The first thing I want to say in the beginning of this video is if you don't have anything intelligent to say, if you don't have an actual point to make, please don't bother replying to my videos. You're wasting our time. I'm posting these videos not necessarily just to atheists, but I direct them in that direction because I already know it's useless to talk to the Christians. They're going to believe what the guy behind the pulpit tells them, and I don't have time to undo what he's building and then start again. So I'm trying to find an open-minded group of individuals who I thought were open-minded and scientific that I'm finding have the same type of emotional response to what they believe that the Christians do. So these videos are for independent, intellectual people who want to actually approach these questions with an open mind instead of immediately assuming that if you believe that there's a higher power or you believe anything the Bible says that you're an idiot and you're a moron. I mean, explain electricity to me. Do you know, half the people that make these comments probably can't do anything. They probably know nothing about electricity, nothing about light, nothing about building a circuit board, nothing about working on a car, nothing about anything. Okay, the way that you're replying sounds very ignorant. So just please don't waste my time or anybody else that actually wants to learn something on those subjects. For those of us who do want to pursue this in an intelligent, grown-up manner, a couple things. You guys are responding about things that are supposedly in the Bible that aren't in there. So the first suggestion I want to make is that if you have an issue with something the Bible says, be specific about it. You're saying the Bible's full of lies. Really? Be specific. Point them out. I believe what you're doing is the same thing the Christians do. The pastor tells them something about a Bible verse and they believe it. You hear something about something that's supposedly in the Bible and you say, see, that's a lie. Glenn Archer, who has more degrees than a thermometer, wrote a book published by Zondervan Publishing called Biblical Difficulties. And he goes through, and this man is a master of several different languages, Greek, Hebrew included. And he goes through the Bible and he presents all the apparent contradictions and difficulties with the biblical text. And he explains all of them. And they're all as a result of a lack of understanding of the Hebrew or Greek or mistranslation. Okay? Now, I'm not saying you have to believe everything the Bible says, or that's the intelligent thing to do. I'm saying before you discount it, look at it. I mean, half of you getting on here and just flipping your lid about, I can't believe you would even suggest that I should waste my time looking at it. Dude, the simple fact is that this guy Moses wrote a book. Now listen, one of you guys responded and said, you're talking about Achilles and Homer and the Iliad and all this. Look, that was written as a story. Moses didn't write the Bible as a story, or the portion that I'm talking about right now, Genesis. He wrote it as an actual account given to him by a higher power about how the universe was created. Now, I don't care if you believe that or not. The point that I'm making is there something to the fact that this guy out in the middle of the desert, leading this people out of Egypt, which there is historical record of, outside of the Bible, okay, wrote this book that in a pre-scientific way describes the way in which the universe was created. And now, thousands of years later, as we learn about all the different theories and ideas that I've already brought up in some of my previous videos, as we learn how the universe would have been created at a single point and exploded outward, because there's evidence of that, although if you read the most recent edition of Scientific American, the evidence for the Big Bang is disappearing. So I think for those of us who are thinkers and intelligent, we need to find out what that evidence is and keep it fresh in our mind, because apparently it's fading. But there is evidence at this time, and there has been for the last several, 100 years, of this explosion that happened from a single point outward in all directions, slowed down, and certain things began to happen in a set way. Okay, light escapes, the cooling heavens, the water below the earth and the water above the earth. Somebody made a comment that there isn't enough water on the earth, He's talking about Noah's flood, which was a local flood, not a global flood. Okay? But he claims that it's just as crazy to believe it's a global flood as it is to believe that the earth is only 6,000 years old. Okay? So, and I can bring out in specific points. If you have a star that's 165,000 light years from here, and we can see the light from that star, the earth has to be 165,000 years old at least, if we're seeing that light. It would take it that long to travel from there to here. When you look up into the sky at night, you are looking into the past. That light has been traveling for thousands and thousands and thousands of years before it hits your eyeball and goes down your optic nerve and causes a chemical reaction in your brain that is interpreted by your belief systems into what you see and perceive. All right, so one of you made the comment that, Noah's flood, you list, because I tell you to be specific about what you're saying as far as things in the Bible that aren't true. Noah's flood. Well, again, if you're going to listen to what the Christians say, that it's a global flood, then, I can see why you have difficulty, but there is plenty of water on the earth to flood the whole thing. All right, so get your facts straight before you start attacking somebody else. Anyway, the point that I'm making just in general is that there is evidence from the Bible, which is a collection of writings. As soon as you guys hear Bible, you freak out, and it can't be true. But it's a collection of writings, and I'm just taking one section of those writings right now where this guy, Camel Jockey, as some of you like to call him, in a general but accurate way described the creation and forming of the universe. Now we're being more specific with the scientific information that we have today, but we're both saying the same thing. So my question is, this guy that had no scientific instruments could generally but accurately describe the way in which the universe was created and formed, the order in which certain things would happen. Light would have escaped first, then the earth, the moisture from the ground would have separated from the air, which is what we have, atmosphere, and then the water, and then earth would have begun to form, and then animals, the Cambrian explosion began to appear, okay? At first in the air and in the sea, and then the land animals. I mean, the order in which those 6 days unfold in Genesis, and it's not 6 literal days, it's 6 successive time periods. It took, me and one other guy had a conversation about it, probably took, between verses 2 and 3 in the Bible was probably about 400,000 years. Verse 1 says that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Big bang. Boom. Then verse 2, it says, and the earth was formless and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. It's still dark, but things are beginning to coalesce. The planet is beginning to form. Between verse 2 and 3, verse 2, the earth is formless and void. Verse 3, God says, let there be light. Well, the first thing that the scientists say that would have happened after everything began to coalesce is light would have escaped. Then after that, the waters in the atmosphere, the clouds, the atmosphere itself, and the oceans would have separated. Then dry land would have begun to appear. Then we would have begun to see microorganisms in the air and in the sea. Then we would have the same way that it's laid out in Genesis by this guy that had no scientific information is now the same thing in the same order that the scientists are saying happened. That is the correlation I'm trying to get us to see. I guess nobody else sees that. And I guess part of it is because you guys aren't studying. You look at the Bible and say, look, that can't possibly be true. Well, if you say that without studying it, you're doing the same thing the Christians do. Again, becoming what you hate. So, these are just things that I like to think about, things that I see that, I know a few other people do, but by and large, I'm just seeing a bunch of people that want to get on YouTube, spout off a little bit, and feel cool, but they really don't have anything meaningful to offer. So, 2 points. One, this guy thousands of years ago is telling us in a general way what science is telling us now. I think there's something to that. And 2, if you don't have something intelligent to say in a respectful manner, don't reply. Thanks. Bye.